everybody, welcome back to the Jack Chapple Show. Today we're going to be talking about 6 reasons why people quit, why they're quitters, why they're quitting, and the common things that I've found from people that have given up, specifically in business, career-related stuff. So anyways, let's get started. We're going to talk about number 1 here. And number 1 knocks off 95% of entrepreneurs, business people, etc. Is that they never fully start. That's the number 1 reason. And I talked about this, hopefully the other videos at the perfectionism video, is that people will spend forever thinking about this idea, building on this idea, thinking about a product, how to perfect it, doing all that stuff, or just thinking about it without ever taking action to actually launch it and start selling stuff, or start building a business, start getting clients, whatever it may be. So the very first reason why people quit is that they never fully start. The business never gets going in the first place. I've seen that time and time again. So my recommendation for you is that if you really want to start a business, you really want to be an entrepreneur, you really want to be fully financially independent, any of those things, right? You have to get past the perfectionism point. You have to get past that first obstacle, and you actually have to start selling something or getting clients, all right? So if you're at that point right now where you have this great idea, and maybe you're whatever, let's just say you're building a website, and you're building this website, this e-commerce website where you're selling stuff, launch the site, and then continue working on it afterwards. Launch the site, start advertising, continue working on it after you do that stuff. You have to start. People think that the start of a business is when you get the idea or when you first start building the product. No. A point when you officially have a business and the business has started is when you make your first sale. All right, even maybe not even that. Maybe it's your first month of making over $1,000. That might be a better goal. That might be a better start. That's a side business, $1,000 a month. So, number 1 reason why people quit is because they never start. They spend months and months and months building that product, and then they just give up because they haven't seen any money, obviously, because they haven't tried selling it. That's the very first thing. They never fully start. So make sure that you start. Number 2 is also similar to a perfectionist video, and the last one here. It's hopefully I'm spelling this right. Immediate results. I probably spelled immediate wrong. It's been a while since I was in high school taking English. Did I take English in university? I don't think so. I don't think I did. Anyways, we're going to move on here. Lack of immediate results. So this is kind of tied into number 1 as well. Okay, let's just say you got past the very first point. You started selling stuff. But maybe you don't make any money in your first month. And you actually have tried to sell. And you've tried to advertise. You just haven't made a profit. Maybe not even a profit, because a lot of companies aren't profitable for the first 18 months. So maybe you just haven't made the $1,000 of sales that you need to be considered a business. And so what happens after that first month, you just kind of give up. And that's it, because you expect the business to take off right away, but meanwhile that rarely ever happens. I mean, apart from some apps occasionally taking off, or those one-hit wonder games, or like maybe you develop a Candy Crush or something like that. Like apart from those things that just take off the second you launch it, odds are it's not going to be successful right away. Like I think the Apple computers only made like 10 grand in its first year, or something. I think it was in the tens of thousands, right? Same with Microsoft. Do you think that they made $50 million within their first month? No, they make $50 million in a day now sometimes. So that's something to think about. Lack of immediate results. So don't get discouraged. So there's this general rule here that I actually have, which is, so people usually quit after 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, but so people shouldn't quit is what I'm trying to say. If you don't see success right away within the first few months, that's okay. But you should quit if you aren't profitable after 18 to 36 months. So you got 1.5 to 3 years to figure out your shit. And if it's not making a profit, it turns into a hobby. That's what it is. So this is just generally speaking. I'm sure that there's been, guys are going to name some sort of mega company like Amazon. Amazon has never made a profit. Did you know that? They're worth hundreds of billions of dollars, haven't made a profit. They've just been taking out capital and debt, and that's all they're doing. So there's occasionally those companies that don't make any money that are still worth a lot, but they're few and far between. So if you don't see immediate results, that's okay, stick with it. And if you still don't see results after a year and a half to 3 years, move on. We're going to move on to number 3. Good segue there, Jack. Number 3 is stress. So this kind of ties into number 4, but stress is a killer. If you cannot handle stress, you're not going to be an entrepreneur. That's just the way it is. Like, I didn't even realize, people would always warn me, but way before I started my own business, when I was a teenager, and talking to business people, is that, like, they'd always say, like, one day, you'll be great and everything's perfect and everything's roses and peaches and whatever. There's rainbows and leprechauns or whatever, riding the rainbow, right? Everything's perfect. And then the very next day, it's like you're in a dark room and you're cold and everything's horrible and you're stressed out and everything's bad. And it's just, I didn't really know what they meant by that until it actually happened. Like, you can make $500 or $1,000 or even $4,000 in a day, or 5,000 or 10,000 sometimes, and then there's other days where you make 0. And I tell you, the mindset of that is so fucked up. I didn't believe people when they would say that to me, that how, like, yeah, the days can be so drastically different based on a lot of circumstances or obstacles or income or whatever. And then, yeah, it happens to you and you're like, oh, I get it. Like, I get why some people can't be entrepreneurs now. Because they can't handle that up and down mentality. They like the stable neutral. Like I always picture them sitting at their desks, unhappy, just going through life like this. Just going through life. That's all. And it's not for me. The 9 to 5, I couldn't do it. I tried. It wasn't even a 9 to 5, I had my own hours. But it was similar to a 9 to 5, like I had to show up every day. Which is, So stress is the number one thing. If you're not good at handling stress, like, people can get crazy. People get crazy with stress. Everyone knows someone like that. People that can't handle bad stuff to happen to them. Like, I always say that I actually gotta stop saying like. There's 2 kinds of people. I started out my book with this chapter was, there's 2 kinds of people. People that when something bad happens to them, they sit there and they complain. And they don't do anything about it. That's what most people are like. And there's the other kinds of people, when something bad happens to them, they take action to correct that, to make sure that that never happens again. The people that rise after they hit rock bottom. There's 2 kinds of people. Those are the 2. So stress. How good are you at dealing with stress? Are you good at it? I know I'm fantastic at it. I say that my number one advantage, like that I was just born with, was my ability to not feel negative emotions as much as most people. I wouldn't say stress so much as like sadness and stuff like that. I mean, I could get stressed out, so I shouldn't have said that. I get stressed out a lot. But sadness and my ability to cope with stress is much better than the average person. And it's something like, I don't know, my girlfriend wishes that a trait that she had. So she always gets jealous that I handle stuff pretty well. Like I always say, whenever something bad happens, it's instead of complaining about it and being like, oh, you should have done this, I should have done this, I should have looked out for this, I just go immediately to, okay, what's next? And that's a good trait of an entrepreneur. We're going to move on to number 4 here. I call this not worth it. This is not just entrepreneurship, this is career related. Do you know the number one reason why people quit their job? Why 70% of all people who quit their job? It's because it's not worth the money. It's not worth the time. It's not worth it. 70%. So this is a giant killer for anyone in entrepreneurship or just in whatever, normal job in general. It's not worth it. Gotta stop saying like. God damn it. I gotta get back on that. So, for example, are you at a job right now that pays you $30,000 and you have to work 8 hours a day and you have to commute for an hour and a half every day? That's a lot of people. That's most people. In fact, although it's about $35,000. Is it worth it? Probably not. Now, we're going to relate this back to entrepreneurship. What I'm mainly talking about here is when you start out, you're not making a lot of money. When you start out, you're probably putting in 12 to 14 hours a day and making $100 when you start out. Bill Gates, for example, he started building computer programs when he was in high school, and he was putting in 12 to 14 hours a day. That was weekends. So he would do, 5 to 6 hours a day after school, and then, he'd do 12, 14 hours a day on the weekend or free time. And he didn't make a dime for like a decade. He didn't make anything. He was just learning for 10 years. And eventually he went on to make Microsoft, right? So it's not worth it. That's why people quit. Bill Gates didn't quit. He loved computers. He didn't quit. He thought it was totally worth it. He was learning, all that good stuff. So here's what I'm going to say to you. Is it worth it? I always ask this to anyone who, wants to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to mention this in my program a lot too coming out, is that are you willing to put in 12 to 14 hours a day into your business in order for you to become successful? Are you willing to cut out time with friends, family, whatever, hobby time? Are you willing to cut out Netflix, TV, all that stuff? If you aren't, you're probably not going to do well. So, anyways, not worth it. That's number 4 thing. Number 4 reason why people quit. We're going to move on to number 5 here. Number 5 is, I don't know how to write this one, but it's pretty long here. They didn't enjoy it to start. Well, what do I mean by that? So I've noticed this a lot from small business people, is they want to get into business, investing, etc., solely for money, which is okay. Like, I'm okay with that, but it should be something you have an interest in. It shouldn't be something that you just want to be in it for the sake of money. I mean, there's a limit though. If you make $1 million a year, okay, I'll take a job I don't like. Actually, no, I'm at the point now, I probably would turn that down. I like being able to wake up whenever I want. I don't know, I think that's worth $900K, or about 890K right now, the difference. So, I don't know. What I'm trying to say here is that, yeah, people will get a job, people will start a business solely because they think it's a good way to make money, but it shouldn't be something that you love, but it shouldn't be something that you have no interest in. It should be something right in the middle. Because if you love something and it becomes a business, you're not going to love it anymore, and all of a sudden, you're just going to be unhappy because the thing that you love is now, not good. It should be something you have an interest in. My ultimate passion before I started everything was probably gaming. And I kind of had to give that up, but now I super enjoy gaming if I have an hour or two to kill. I love it even more now than ever. So when you get into entrepreneurship, make sure that you have an interest in whatever you're doing. Because that's a large reason why people quit. People just get in just for the sake of being in a business. You got to have a passion for it. And that's something that every single successful investor, entrepreneur will tell you. Now, I don't know if number 6 is going to fit on here. I don't think it will, so I'm just going to say it. Number 6 is, maybe I just have to write one word. Motivation. Lack of motivation, I should say. So, a lot of the reasons why people quit is because it's like, what's that saying from Warren Buffett? The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. So when you have a business and you just it becomes like a stable source of income, you don't get motivated. You're like, this thing can run itself. I don't know if I want to do it anymore, kind of thing. You lack the motivation to get up in the morning, and once you actually become successful, this is part 4 of my program, the actualization part. Once you become successful, you don't have that motivation to get up in the morning. And I'm telling you, I think I've told the story now, hopefully the video's up, of that one week where when I didn't have any money and I wanted to start all these businesses, I worked hard every single day I probably put in 15 to 16 hour days every day for 7 days when I started. And then eventually, once I started making some money, I wasn't as motivated because I had money. I wasn't broke anymore. So motivation, lack of motivation is big. And a lot of the times lack of motivation can come from family or friends. Like maybe you just want to spend time with them. And a lot of the times that kills a business when the head of the company just doesn't have an interest or motivation to do the business anymore. Maybe their motivation's elsewhere. Maybe they want to quit to get a stable job. Whatever it may be. Lack of motivation is a large reason why people quit, because people just want to be able to get up in the morning and grow something, or be able to do what they want to do and have a little bit of this insecurity. Or I shouldn't say insecure, I should say that they want to be able to be creative and kind of change things up if they want to every day. But if your business becomes something where you can't keep changing and growing with the business, again, you're going to get bored, and that happens. So lack of motivation is definitely a big reason why people quit. People get bored. It happens. People want to spend their time elsewhere. That happens. So number 6 is more of a killer for people that are successful, if anything. While most of the rest of these, they kill people, before they even start, or like when their business is just taking off. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up. What's the reason why you think people quit? Leave a comment down below. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really, really helps me out, so make sure you do that. And yeah, you are all very beautiful people. I will see you guys in the next video.